Arizona basketball could possibly have a loaded roster next season. What is the latest on Henry Vassar, and what teams in this conference could be national championship contenders?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we've got a lot to get to this show. We are going to talk about Arizona and some big-time news. But first, today's episode is brought to you today by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Check it out at FanDuel, my friends. Again, you will thank me later. All right, now, we got a lot to get to here. The first thing we got to talk about is Henry Vassar and where things stand at this moment. And with Henry, I think a big part of all of this is that, yes, when he hit the transfer portal, it took a lot of people by surprise, including at the University of Arizona. Obviously, he was not somebody that was expected to leave, and he obviously was on a plane to New York. Now, North Carolina. He is listen, Henry Vassar is a very, very good basketball player. I think some people were overrating him to a certain degree, in that he was basically irreplaceable. He's not irreplaceable. He is good. He's a good player, but he's also somebody that Arizona can get. Arizona can get somebody of similar contributions, but you want to have him back because he fits in well with what Arizona wants to do. Arizona wants to get up and down. They want to run they want to run the court, and with Henry, you can do that because he can get up and down the court, and he can run, and he can block shots, and he is the proverbial spacer, which is a very good thing for a lot of people. The offense just kind of flows better when Henry is in the lineup. I don't think I'm really breaking any news there. But again, he was going to North Carolina, and we'll see how this one does. We'll see how this one does play out. But I'm kind of the opinion that right now that Arizona is in good shape to be able to get him back. Now, what does that mean exactly? Who knows? But it's a lot better than I think a lot of people thought it was earlier this week, even when you're like, all right, well, I guess he's gone. He went there with his girlfriend. And by the way, I have no problem if somebody goes on a recruiting trip with their girlfriend, because that's somebody that you're in a relationship with. And if they want to know exactly where they're going to, where their man's going to be, I got no problem with it. So I think people that are complaining about that, I think that misses the mark. I think that misses the mark entirely, honestly. So there's obviously that. Now, when it comes to Arizona, then we'll see. Tommy Lloyd has thrown a lot of time and energy into Henry Vassar, and you watch him, and I don't know that anybody else could have developed Henry better than he has. He's done a very, very good job with him. He's also done a very, like I said, he's also shown as well that this is a player that I think you could win a lot of games with. I think Henry could be a monster next year. Listen, I know that he loves Mo Krivas. I get all of that, but at the end of the day, I would rather have Henry, but I also trust, like I said, I also trust Tommy Lloyd in this one as well, that he's going to be able to get the right pieces in play. So we'll see how it plays out, though. But just because somebody enters the portal doesn't mean that they're going to go. And obviously, with him touching back down, something happened or something didn't happen, because a lot of times when these guys go on these visits and they have the no contact tag, they end up going to that school. That it's it's a foregone conclusion. That really wasn't the case here. So we'll see how it plays out, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. Now, Arizona, this is going to be a massive offseason for Arizona, because you've got a lot of really, really good teams in the Big 12 this year. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of really good teams in the Big 12. You could start with Houston. You can start, and I guess, well, why don't we just go one by one? We're going to talk about the recruiting in each conference as well. And just kind of see where Arizona stands with that. And I think the first one that you got to talk about is Houston. Houston's going to be absolutely loaded next year. I mean, that is going to be the great one that is going to be a team that they're going to be loaded across the board. It depends on who they get back, but you could also get a Milos Uzan, and you could also get a Milos Uzan, and you can also get a somebody like that if he's back. Now there are rumors that there are rumors though, like what I said, with that Kentucky is going to be involved with him. I don't know, but either way, you're going to have back Sinak, you're going to have back Tugler, you're going to have back Emmanuel Sharp, you're going to have back Arsenault, you're going to have Mercy Miller is going to be a really good player as well. You also, like I said, you've got you could possibly have back Uzan. You're going to have multiple high level of 5-star kids. Houston is going to be one of the preseason top 5 teams in the country next year. Now, and well, you watch Sinak. He's not Jawan Roberts, but he's also incredibly talented. I mean, you could watch him for 5 seconds and see that. But I think if that will be an interesting one to see how that does unfold for Arizona, because Houston was better than Arizona this year. There's no doubt about it. Houston was just better. And that's something that, Arizona's got to be able to step up with and be able to compete with. And, if you, this is what you got though, when you got into the Big 12, you got into a conference where teams were going to be better, where nothing was going to be handed to you. Nothing was going to be easy. And I think that's the way you want it if you're Arizona, isn't it? You didn't want, like I said, I don't want to completely bash the Big 12, but at the same time, it also wasn't a. It also wasn't a situation where you're like, all right, well, Pac-12, you're going to get better come NCAA tournament time. That's not the case. With the Big 12, you saw it. When Arizona got down against Oregon, it was able to get a lot better. And there was that. Now, so we will find out how that does play out, but it's going to be fascinating to see because the Houston, all high tides raise all ships, or whatever that term may be. Either way, Arizona is in a much better spot than it was when it was in the Pac-12, and Houston's going to be right at that top. Now, Houston has basically run the Big 12 since it's got in there. It's done exactly that. I don't know what else to say. Houston has been the benchmark for the conference since it entered. Not Kansas, it's been Houston, and I think they have one loss in conference play this year. And now, granted, some of those games were a little bit closer than you would maybe hope, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So we shall see. Houston, though, really, really good basketball team. Also, something too that we got to talk about too. The coaches in this conference are amazing. The coaches are absolutely great. From Kelvin Sampson, obviously, Bill Self's resume speaks for itself. McCaslin's, he's obviously really good. You've got Kevin Young, Tommy Lloyd. This is a conference that's got awesome, awesome basketball coaches. And honestly, it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch how this all does unfold and how all of this does play out. Now, there's a bunch of other teams in here that Arizona is going to have to recruit against and to be able to launch with them. And we will find out. But what does Arizona need to do, though, to be able to compete with this next team that I think is going to be an interesting one throughout this time? But first, 5-hour energy, my friends, 5-hour energy. Daylight savings snuck up on you again. If you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-hour energy has your back. You want to use 5-hour energy. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-hour energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up wherever you need it. Basketball madness, you've been staying up late, late, and let's be honest here, everybody has, or extra daylight savings time, on your go convenience, they've got it. Head to 5hourenergy.com for over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Go get a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up and stay energized. A 5-Hour Energy, my friends. Again, check it out. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk where Arizona's at when it comes to BYU. Feels weird saying that, but BYU is going to be a problem for a while now because they have a lot of money in the NIL era. You're bringing in the best player in college, or the best freshman, maybe the second best freshman in college basketball, and AJ DeBonsa. He can do a lot of different things. Now, again, I like Peterson more from Kansas, who we're going to get to here in a few minutes. But watching him, he's a monster. He's what projected first pick in the draft looks like, and not sure what else to say. If you get him, if you got Richie Saunders, if you've got Kada, that's going to be a top 5, top 6 team in the country. Kevin Young has already shown that he knows how to recruit. And not only does he show how he knows how to recruit, he knows how to coach. And they're getting up and down. They're going to be able to pay for a lot of guys. Xavion Staten is another one. He's coming back. And he is, coming back. He's coming in. He's a top 20 player. He's super raw, though. It's going to take him a little bit of time, I think, to be able to find that realm that he needs to hit. But he's still really, like I said, he's a good basketball player. That's a loaded team, though. They're going to have a huge margin for error. And I think if you're a BYU fan, that's something that you got to be pretty enticed by, is what is that margin for error that you have? Because it's going to be pretty immense. And I think we're kind of also at the stage too with Arizona fans, with Arizona folks, that BYU is probably not going anywhere. So you're going to have to have a roster that's going to be able to compete against that. And that's like I said, that's going to be where it's going to be interesting to see how that does unfold. But they're not going anywhere. And not only are they not going anywhere, they're not going to be a team that is going to they're not going to be a team that's going to have anything to be able to back away from when it comes to it. Now, the other one, too, that you got to look at is Texas Tech. Love Texas Tech. I think McCaslin has done a great job. And not only has he done a great job, he's also a guy that, you watch him, he's a next level coach. He's able to do a lot of different things out there on the court. And you could see that he is that he's figuring it out. He feels like he's destined for an even bigger job at some point, but I know that he likes Tech. I get all of that. A big thing for him is what's going to happen in the transfer portal and what's going to happen with the NBA draft. Is JT Toppin going to come back? If JT Toppin comes back, that's your returning Big 12 player of the year. I mean, that's obviously a nice little feather in your cap if you're able to get him back. Then you got Darian Williams. Darian Williams also very good. I would be kind of surprised if both these guys didn't come back, because quite frankly, they're both not great NBA prospects. And again, that's not necessarily a diss towards them, but they're just not great NBA prospects. And I think if you're not a great NBA prospect, I think a lot of times it makes a world of sense to come back and make a lot of money and maybe work on that a little bit, get better at your game. But both these guys, though, it's going to be fascinating to see how this does play out. I do think you're kind of at the stage with them, though. If you get them back, then you got the Christian Anderson kid back. You got Overton. I mean, that's a pretty loaded team. Yeah, you're losing Kerwin Walton and you're losing Chance McMillan, but I mean, those guys are also replaceable. So Texas Tech's going to be a really, really good team next year if they return those guys. And then the other one too that you got to look at is Kansas. I know Kansas has had a little bit of a tough run, a little bit of a tough road to hoe of late, but Kansas is a really you're bringing in the best player in the country in Peterson. I think he's better than DeBansa. I really do. I think that he's a player that you watch him and there's no way that he's not an NBA All-Star. He's got everything at that wing position, from being able to score, being able to get to the rack, being able to basically just do everything you need to do as a basketball player to win games and to be able to do, certain stuff. He is he's a monster. And then if you can get back Badunga or whatever his name is, and then if you can get back or you get back Zeke Mayo, you're going to have to obviously fill some stuff out. But also last year, they just whiffed in the portal, and I can't really sit here and blame them or Bill Self, because everybody thought AJ Storr was going to be good. He wasn't. I don't know what else to say. Everybody thought Rylan Griffin was going to be good. He wasn't. I don't know that I necessarily put that on Bill Self. And so the people that are talking about, is he is the NIL era, has it passed Bill Self by? I don't buy that for a second. I've never bought that. I just don't think that is I don't think that's the case. I love Bill Self. I think he's a really, really good coach, and I think he's going to be just fine. So we'll see how that does play out. But it's going to be a loaded conference, though. You're going to have this is a conference that is, again, I think it's going to reclaim its title as the best conference in all of college basketball. And not only that, I think you're looking at a team. I think you're looking at a bunch of squads that can compete for a national championship. I expect this to be Arizona's best team under Tommy Lloyd. I think when you look at everything, when you're like, okay, how does all of this play out? I think it's hard not to look at Arizona and say that this is probably going to be his most complete, probably his deepest team. Now, again, certain things obviously have to come into play, and you've got to have some balls bounce your way. But overall, he's also shown too that he could bring in a dynamic recruiting class. Listen, Houston's bringing in a monster recruiting class. They're bringing in a top 5, top 8 player in Sanok. They're bringing in 2 5-star kids, and obviously they're returning a bunch of guys. So that's obviously really good. You also look at what's going on at a school like Kansas. They're going to be fine. You look at a school then like Tech. It's going to be interesting. And there's just a lot of really good teams in this conference. Iowa State, I would imagine, takes a massive step back. But who knows? I also like Otts a lot, but there's also a lot of rumors that he's going to go to Texas A&M. We'll see how that one does play out. But Arizona is built for the Big 12 this coming year. And honestly, it was built for the Big 12 this past year. And that's why I think a lot of people giving Arizona grief, I think that they're being a little bit short-sighted here, because I thought Arizona did everything it needed to do to be competitive here. And think that going forward, you're going to see more of that as well. So we will see. Now, how do these players that Arizona for sure has on the roster, how are they going to fit into the Big 12? Because that is a fascinating point, and there's going to be a rugged part to this that I think is going to make a lot of sense. But first, FanDuel, my friends, FanDuel. Okay, here's the deal. March Madness is here. The Final Four is here, my friends. Duh. And again, the FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, you got to win, but then you get $200 there. Very fun. Then that's $200 extra dollars to use on anything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, all of that. And again, you can pick your favorites. You can bet in-game. A lot of people watch these games and they're like, you know what? I want to bet in-game because I think I got a better feel than some of these broadcasters or these prognosticators on what's going on. So again, that's a good part of it. It's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use. And when I win, you get paid instantly. You don't have to wait 4 months or something like that. So again, visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long at FanDuel. Again, FanDuel is awesome. This is another one that you're going to thank me later on. The NCAA tournament is here. Take full advantage of FanDuel. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked on your team every day. Now, Arizona is going to have a team that's built for the Big 12 next year, in my opinion. I love Koa Pete. Koa Pete is the absolute man. What kind of NBA player he is, I don't know, and I don't think anybody else does either, but he's going to be a long-time pro, clearly. The thing about Koa is he's going to be able to face the basket, and he's going to be able to score. And because he's going to be too big for people trying, little guys that are going to try to stay in front of him, and he's going to be too quick for big loafers. And he's going to be able to finish because he's a really good athlete. He's also a great passer. That's something that I think is really overlooked in all of this, is what a passer he is. He is he's a next level guy. So if you double him, he's going to be able to make that pass, be able to get it open. He's not a three-point shooter, but he's got a really nice mid-range to him. He's the kind of power forward that you want when you're going against the Houstons of the world. Just a fantastic basketball player. Now, if you get Carter Bryant back, who knows how that plays out? But if you get Carter Bryant back, that would be a big one as well, because he could be an All-American next year, from shooting the three to getting into the, continuing to work on his offense to weak side shot blocking. Carter's the man. I think that he should come back. I get all of the talk about why, going to the NBA. I get all that, but I think that Carter would be smart to come back. We'll see. Braden Burries, you needed a scorer. You need somebody that can step in and be, kind of replace what Caleb Love brought. He would be that guy. Then Jaden Bradley, you saw, I think he's perfect for what the Big 12 is. He's feisty. He's physical, and he just, like I said, he just plays winning basketball. That is that's a big aspect of his game, and I think something that's a little bit overlooked or underlooked, however you want to put it, when it comes to Jaden Bradley. You'd love to get Henry back. If you can get Henry back, that's your kind of your rim runner. He showed this past year that he could dunk, that he could finish around the hoop, that he could just do a lot of different things that I don't think a lot of people necessarily thought that he could do, including myself. Again, making 3-point shots. Now, again, the one thing about him is he's never going to be a back to the basket type where you just give him the ball and he backs a guy down and then he scores, whatever the case may be. He's never been that dude. Probably never will be. But the other stuff he does is next level, and you certainly want that back. Mo Krivas, like I said, I know a lot of people are soured on him, but if he's good for Tommy, he's good for me. It's kind of the way I'm in with when it comes to Tommy Lloyd and his big men recruiting approach. So, like I said, that's kind of where I'm at with that one. And then Tobe Awaka, we'll see. Like I said, not all these guys are going to be back. We'll see. Awaka, though, is perfect for the Big 12. And if he's not here, he's going to probably go to a place like Texas Tech, and he's going to be great there. So you don't want to really lose. You don't want to lose him if you don't have to. But it's also a numbers game at some point. So you've got to obviously, you got to factor that one in. Conrad Martinez is going off. He is like I said, I commend Conrad for his time here. He had some nice moments here at the U of A, making wide open threes or getting a steal and a finish or something like that. But he's just not a player at this level. And everything that Tommy Lloyd talked about, how he, with Conrad, that was all kind of hot air. It wasn't, he clearly didn't feel that Conrad could play 10, 12 minutes per game against good teams, and that's why he didn't. So Conrad, probably more of an Iona type player. Something like that. We'll see how that one does play out. But either way, did a good job this year in the few minutes that he played, and we'll see where he ends up. And like I said, I thought he did a very nice job here. And but that's kind of where you're at this point. ADO, I'd love to have ADO back. ADO's not, if he's back, he can't be a starter, but I do like ADO a lot. I think ADO as an eighth guy is really, really good for what Arizona wants to do. We'll see if he wants to come back and do that, though. I don't know if that's the case, because I think that he could play really well at a St. Mary's or something, but you want him back as kind of that zone buster. And again, let's be honest here. That's a tough dude. That guy walked right to the free throw line against Oregon, made 4 straight free throws. He would have made 10 straight free throws. He would have made 20 straight free throws. He wanted all of those free throws. So that was a cool thing to see from ADO. But either way, Arizona is going to be a loaded basketball team next year. And the teams that they are going to be playing are going to be loaded as well. But like I said, that's what gets you ready for the NCAA tournament. If you don't have those type of games, then you don't really, like I said, it's you don't have those type of games, and it gets a lot more difficult because Arizona just didn't have those. You got to be better in those situations, and I think that's something that's kind of exciting for the U of A. Now, hopefully, we have some more good Henry news. We will see. Like I said, this one's far from over. Who knows how this one's going to play out, though? And hopefully, like I said, I would imagine the next week we're going to have some good Braden Burry's announcements as well. Just like I said, it's a really good time to be an Arizona basketball fan. We're going to be talking a little bit of football as well. Spring practice is here, so we're going to break all of that down. But as always, very, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A. And like I said, hopefully we're back tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some good Henry news. We shall see.